Hey, Bubba, how you doing? Good to see you this morning. Looks like yeah. You are a little under the weather this morning too, Bubba? I mean, I'm feeling somewhat better, but I'm still pretty rough. Just haven't been really tired. Yeah, and I'm ready to be done with it, but got to put up with it till it's gone, I guess. No, I'm just gonna. This morning I didn't really prepare much. I usually clean up my chip pile. I didn't even mess with that this weekend. And this morning I couldn't get my other seat. It's just, good morning, Terry. It's just been one of those mornings followed by, trailing after one of those weekends. So I'm gonna muddle through best I can with this today. I just picked out a few pieces of my local stuff. Somebody said something last week about working oddball shapes and size stuff, so maybe I'm going to work some of this, my local stuff, kind of show what you can get out of these little chunky pieces. You guys know I'm always picking up stuff, even if, doesn't look like you can make anything out of it. So this piece here, I think I'll start with. It's kind of, clunky, got an oddball shape there, and got like a big valley out of it right there. So you look at it and just kind of figure out, just like any other piece of rock. Cody, good morning. Kind of where your point lays in that, or what you're wanting to make out of it. And this stuff is really bad about seams. You can see there's a seam in this one right here where it broke, and probably when why I put it down, I probably got frustrated. But anytime you see that mineralization inside a crack, that iron like that, let me see if I can find another one. This stuff is notorious for it. There's another one right here, seam that looks like it goes through both sides. So, to me, it's more like it's like a puzzle. You're chipping around that stuff and trying to get as big a piece out of it as you can. Like I said, this is not working. This kind of rock is not how you're not gonna make big, gorgeous, beautiful pieces out of it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna teach yourself to get the best result from marginal or less rock. So everybody wants to go for the big, perfect spall, perfect rock type of stuff, but those only teach you what to do with a perfect spall. And it's kind of like anything else, you guys that are bowyers, if you're learning on all straight grain stuff, and then somebody hands you a piece of gnarled up bow dart, and you've never worked around grain and knots and pin knots, and then you're really not going to know what to do. So it's just similar to that. I mean, the puzzle or the difficulty part of it is what I like anyway. But and I apologize for any coughing and all that this morning. Is still can't kick that part of it. So probably kept Jenny up quite a bit last night with it. I just could not stop coughing at times. Clay, Cody, I've been down since last week, man. I don't know, allergies and arthritis, I guess, but I don't know what the hell. Clay, I am in Northwest Arkansas. But yeah, Cody, I've been Well, last Monday, Monday evening, I went to bed at like 9:30 and didn't get up till 1:30 on Tuesday. And then felt just like crap all week. All right. Just kind of using this piece here was pretty wonky to try to get anything out of, just a kind of a warm-uppy type of piece. But yeah, Cody, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, everybody that I know of around here, talking about allergies. So, and I used to get them a lot worse. I hadn't had them in a few years, or not like this anyway. But yeah, I've been coughing and hacking and snotting and just not fun. All right, let's see where we can take this off here. And when you're working with smaller pieces like this, it really doesn't change the objective is still to try to even everything out and get as wide and flat a biface as you can. You just imagine that this is just, a bigger piece of rock. It all works the same. From just a flake to a spall, any of it. Same principles. You just change the size of the tool and the amount of force. Hey, good morning. I said Bubba said good morning. I didn't say her come in. Good morning, hon. Somebody just followed. Diane, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Trying to turn it into this down just a little bit. There's like a little knob there. If I could get that turned, I actually end up with a little bit of a decent sized piece here. There we go. I just wanted to take a steep downward flake on that just to kind of get that started. Sam, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Guys, I hadn't forgot. I didn't put out a video for the subscriber point. I was trying to figure out what was going on with all of that and trying to decide what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do this giveaway this week. Again, it's a subscriber deal and you don't have to be present to win, and it's 4th January. So I just try to make sure I could be as fair as possible. Well, yeah, I just got a deal on my side that's saying that my wife's subscription, she was my first subscriber, but that all of that stuff, it's not allowing people to resubscribe because they're trying to, I guess, still figure out how they're gonna, the taxation and the whatever on that. So oh man, now that's cool, Bubba. Cumberlands are a really neat point. There's a guy on here. I can't remember even what Dennis goes by, but Dennis Leach is his name. Dennis is from Louisiana, and he makes some killer Cumberlands. That's one of his. That's like his passion. That's one of the only point styles he makes. And that is those are so cool. I've been threatening to try to make one, or you know, jump into a little bit. But yeah, that's what, honey, that's what I was saying. So I was trying to be I want to be as fair with the giveaway as I can, because I had a couple of people that their subscriptions ran out before the end of the month. And I just want to make sure that everybody that was a subscriber during the month of January will have an opportunity at it. So I'll get all that lined out. You gonna be her best friend? Yeah, those Cumberland, that's a really neat point style. But Dennis makes some of the nicest ones. I mean, it just amazes me the flute on those things. Of course, they're using those like a Soulburger type jig or whatever. The guillotine jigs. But I've thought about trying to come up with a caveman, you know, version. Oh man, now that would be something, Bubba. All right, I'm just trying to, I was kind of flattening out this end of this. There's a kind of a layer of chalkier material on this. Color change. I like to, I don't know, the artistic part of me, I like to leave that in sometimes if I can, but I got to be careful about trying to chase it. Oh wow, yeah, there's a price on them, Bubba. They're not priceless, I'll guarantee you. There is that they will take a monetary amount for them. A big one. Kind of hope that one would have went a little further. Slowly getting that twist spot out of there. Should be able to clear some of the more of this right here. Sorry guys, I got a little kind of lost in looking where I needed to take material off there. I'm a little out of it this morning, so kind of like, oh, I wonder how long I've been sitting there without saying anything. Just one of those, kind of in a haze today. That's why I decided to just grab some chunky, almost, you know, didn't figure on making much out of any of them anyway, so it takes a little of the stress off of trying to work a great piece of rock. But what it does at the same time though is it causes me to, you know, when you're working a piece of rock that's a little bit more challenging, it's more like a puzzle that you have to take apart, you know, instead of putting it together. So each move you got to think about how setting up the next, you know, you see how flat that is, except for this one little area that I'm working down to, and then we'll turn that and come back this way, and we'll end up with a nice little biface out of what was a pretty chunky piece of rock. Let's see, we're going to take right there, kind of even this in, blend that in. Try to set this up just a little different right here. Christopher, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, I just wanted to get enough that where I could just kind of hook on top of that platform, just to take that little blendy type flake off there. Make sure we got, okay, you can see now how flat this face is. And this is where our, you know, our mass is left to, so everything that we're gonna do from here on out will be setting up to go take flakes off of this face. Try to identify where your major amounts of the mass are, and for this one, this is my most troublesome spot on it. And there's a little bit of a step fracture right there, a step flake. So probably gonna come at it like one big flake this way and then try to clean it up. Lose a little bit of length, but like I said, I'm not trying to make a, you know, a big huge piece. I'm just trying to use a nice piece of rock that was just a little odd shape, try to get the best thing out of it I can. Yeah, well, and Todd, you will still end shock it. It's especially the smaller the antler tine is, when you're hitting off the end, you really have to isolate it. It's just, I mean, it doesn't take away the you know, it's, you got to think about it. It's the same as hitting it with a billet on the end. You don't see me very often unless I'm fluting, where I'm hitting the end of the piece once it gets thin. It's usually when it's, you know, this is still fairly chunky, and I probably won't hit the end much after I take the next couple of flakes, because this is going to thin this down pretty good right here. But other than end shocking it, what are your takeaways? What are you feeling that's is it improving the accuracy for sure? I would imagine, right? There was the flake I was trying. Well, it didn't go quite as far as I wanted, but yes, and that's the thing that I even struggle at times, Todd, is I have to back off the power and realize that I'm hitting too hard, because you can actually, you know, hit through the break of the rock and it just shatters it, and it doesn't. There is a tremendous amount of force going through the tip of that tool, for sure. Marcelo, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, now let's take another one right off the end. I'm going to try to take that last little bit of this. You can see that thickness right in there. when I do this, I'm going to support and kind of pull this way. You see that? I cradled that underneath with my finger like this to support all along that flake. And it went from here all the way down to almost the very, well, to right there. And in the process, you can see what it did to the tip. Now we're fairly thin. Drove that back in. Now when I hit that, I drove that into my hand. You can see the red spot right there on next to on my middle finger. That's because I had that, the base of that drove into there. That's the reason that flake went as well. Zip it up. Thank you for the follow. It's going pretty well. I'm a little under the weather today. Not quite as bad as I have been for the last few days, but I'm still feeling a little less than stellar. We're just going to see if we can turn this into a little biface here, and then probably pick up another wonky piece and work it down to a biface. Show you guys kind of how to attack the edges on stuff that's not, you know, perfect spalls or that kind of stuff. Get that to hook. There's one little spot there. I'm trying to. You're a collector yourself. Your pops is big into flint knapping. Zip it up. Hey Don, how you doing this morning? I'm glad you are back home. You still got snow on the ground up there, I imagine, huh? Oh, no snow? Well, right on, Don. Lewis Otto, thank you for the follow. All right. Just trying to chew that down a little bit there to get where we can get on the other side of this. Rizzo, good morning. Yeah, it's supposed to be 71 here today, Don. It was 70 or about that yesterday. Which is why I feel like my sinuses are probably the main reason that I'm feeling the way I do. Going from, you know, low 20s and teens for the high, and a week and a half later, my heater is not even running, and may need to turn the air conditioner on by the end of the day. Oh, awesome. Awesome, Zip It Up. Well, I'm not much of a collector anymore. I mean, I have a small collection from when I was younger, walking fields with my grandpa and all that. But I've not done any purposeful looking for artifacts in years. Whenever I go to an area that might have artifacts in it, it's probably got material in it too. And I'm a material. I love to find the rock to make them out of. I actually I've found quite a few arrowheads while I was looking for napping rock, but once I get into an area that's got material, that's what I go into full on looking for rocks. Yeah, I know there's a lot of guys that's what they do, is they go to the shows and they buy and sell collections and all that stuff. And I love the artifacts, I do, but what drives me is making them. Just kind of cleaning this edge up a little. Kind of get it turned back this other direction, and then we'll yeah, Don, that's what I'm talking about. And if you don't think that won't get you sick, whew. So, but I do feel better today. I'm not, the cough is the part that's lingering for me the last few days. I've actually felt better. Curly, thank you. Curly Shirley, thank you for the follow. Guys, we get to 5,000 followers. I am going to do the Hardened Point giveaway. We're getting really close to the 5,000 mark on that one. And like I said, I'm gonna do the drawing this week for the January subscriber. Don, I was gonna do it today, and like I said, I was trying to figure out to make sure I had it as fair as possible for everybody involved. So, because they're not allowing anybody to. Right on. Right on, Curly Shirley. So you're a flint napper? And zip it up, you like the Egyptian stuff, huh? There's some pretty neat stuff in that. I've always gravitated to the North American stuff, the North American archaeology. So. Awesome. Well, it'll take that, Curly Shirley. It definitely will take a passion, because this is it's something that if you're getting into it, don't go into it thinking it's going to be a quick thing. It's just not. It takes a lot of time and practice, but it's worth it. I've been doing this for a long time. It took me a long time before I made stuff that I was happy with. Even longer until I made stuff that other people thought were happy with. So, hello, did I yawn this morning? I don't know that I did. Tay Jen. And not sure I understand the question, but I don't believe I've yawned this morning. And when it starts getting thin like this, you'll see me a lot of times go back and forth between favorite material to work with. Is my local area material. I've gotten to where I really do. I love to get what I can get out of it. I mean, our local gravels, but as far as, you know, just, I don't know, I don't want to call it nostalgic, but it's like my home turf. You know, I like working it because this is the stuff that I really learned on when I first started grasping the concept. Oh, Tallahassee quartzite's up there in the toughness realm, Bubba, but it still doesn't quite get to what some of the rhyolite that I've worked. And rhyolite is probably the toughest overall material that I've ever worked with. But yeah, the Tallahassee quartzite, Bubba sent me some of that stuff, and I mean, well, that's what this Dalton right here is made out of, is Tallahassee quartzite. And it's beautiful material, but that's tough stuff. Now, in bigger pieces, working spalls, it might work a little different, but working out of little creek turn cobbles, it'll teach you how to you know, watch your edges and set stuff up, because if you don't, it will absolutely kick your butt. But rhyolite is probably the toughest material that I've ever worked. I got in a trade years ago, and I'm not even sure, you know, because I've heard some of the guys say that some of the better quality of it works pretty good, but I have never had an opportunity to work any that I would say worked pretty good. Yes, it will, Bubba. I mean, it's, you know, you can make points out of it, but see, that's the thing. People have to, excuse me, when you start napping a material like that, you have to be realistic in your goals. You know, now, I mean, if it's a big, clear, beautiful piece of material, you expect you're going to get a nice nice finished product. But if you're working from kind of a little cobbly, rough, you know, the point that you get from it is definitely, you know, I mean, I try to get as good of stuff out of, you know, each biface as I can, but the quality that you start off with will definitely affect the overall end product for sure. So Tallahassee will remind you that not all rocks want to be pretty arrowheads. All right, I'm going to try to save myself a little bit of material. I may end up, the way this is looking and coming in, get my nose running a little bit, that this is probably may end up making it into another Dalton. That is correct, Bent Creek. I've got this little odd spot right here, and I'm hoping that I can kind of hook this platform. There's kind of you can see how that went in there and dove out. It's my last little bit of mass that I need to remove off there. So kind of turn that back, and I'm going to try to kind of throw this flake back along the edge of that. See how that, you can see the remnants of it. It just kind of went up the edge of it, just softening that hard edge just a little bit. And just enough to take some of that mass off so that the next series doesn't have to climb as far up. See, that one I kind of come in the back side of that and took a little bit more of that mass off, and flattened out the base. Now I'm going to come from this way, take one here, and then just keep working through that. But we're just about to get it. Got some different music going this morning. I could not get my normal CD would not play this morning for whatever reason. I didn't think I could wear it out, but it just wouldn't start in my CD player. So we're listening to Fire Crow this morning. See, these are just all real nice, thin. Just flattening this and turning that edge toward the last little bit of that mass on there. See, now we got that whole side is just flat. Rolling, I did not. I've got it set off here. This weekend, man, I tried to nap a little bit, and I was right on, Todd. I'll try to do better about explaining flake by flake. I'm not always good about that, especially when I'm a little out of it like today. But now, Roland, I tried working on this. I mean, I haven't destroyed it, but it started getting some spots in it that I was just not on my game. I just haven't felt good, in almost a week now. Now today I feel better physically, just have a little bit more of the cough, and because I haven't napped much, I actually feel pretty good, arthritis wise and body wise. So that part I can't really complain about. I'm just kind of in a haze is what it feels like. So whenever I'm not on my game, I don't like to work super nice material usually. This is just a piece. That's why I picked up a few pieces of my local stuff today that were just really oddball, wonky, stuff. This one's got kind of a big turtleback in it. Yeah, that was about it. I napped, but I didn't. I napped with an N, Cody, most of the weekend. Since we took those big flat flakes off that side, then what we're going to do is just pressure flake down, kind of bringing this edge this way. This is where our mass is, right here by my thumb. So by taking flakes down, I'm bringing that edge closer to the face that I want to remove. Take another pass at that. Sometimes when you're adjusting it and then you brush the edges, you see that the platform is still set up to the face you just finished. So I'm going to do one more series, and you can see I just took these two flakes, but this continuous platform right here after this next series will be farther up this way, and then that will set us up for this right there, and then the piece will be basically preformed. So just don't get in such a hurry and rush the process. Most people, like I said, we've said it a few times, but they try to get those big flakes too early before the contours are right. So then what you end up with is a big flattened area that you can't send flakes across because you've lost your convexity. When you send the last series of big flakes across there, you really are sending them, you're setting the final thickness of your point. Doug, how you doing this morning? this one actually is looks like it might work out with a little bit more width than I thought it would, so see what we can make out of it. I think we'll probably just set it aside and biface another one today. Something that I can do easily without too much concentration till I get myself. Curly Shirley, I think that, well, I had a bunch of mentors over the years, but a lot of it learned on my own. You know, I mean, it's hard to say on your own. If I watch a lot of folks, Flint Nap on, you know, videos and stuff now, and anytime I've been at an event, I always watch as many people as I can, because there's always going to be somebody that does something, you know, even if it's just different than what you do, it might work better for certain situations. So I think that if you go into it always with the mindset you're trying to learn, you know, you never stop that quest for the knowledge of it. But so, you know, I napped for the first 2 or 3 years, probably 2 years that I napped. I never even knew there were other people that napped. I just thought it was me being weird. But that was, you know, like 30 years ago. So, you know, the internet was still brand new. There were no YouTube videos on Flint napping, all of that stuff. I finally met a guy that introduced me to the book, The Art of Flint Napping by D.C. Waldorf, and the accompanying VHS tape. And I learned as much as I could from that, but I had already been napping for 2 years at that point. So it's just, I've just tried to find the information anywhere it was available. And now I tell you guys a lot. You guys that are wanting to learn right now is the heyday of it. There is so much information out there that, you know, you can. Well, I don't know if Justin's still in here. I use Justin as an example a lot, because he's been napping for less than a year, and, you know, because of the practice that he's put in, but then the information and the stuff that's out there has really, you know, excelled at making points, even to the point, like I said, he's making stuff now and having been less than a year in, that I was making, you know, 2 or 3 years into Flint napping. So if you want to learn to nap, now is the time. All right, we're just slowly kind of picking away at this little knob that was left there on the end of that. Oh, awesome, Bubba. That's really cool. They like seeing you out there getting them points, huh? All right, we'll get close here. But yeah, I've had a bunch of mentors over the years. You know, people that have taken time to sit down and explain a few things to me, and the list is immeasurable, really. I mean, I started napping, well, almost 30. This year will be 30 years. And only been going to official like nap-ins for about the last 10. But I went to little gatherings and stuff here locally for a few years and was able to nap with some of the best that, you know, are recognized in the world of flint napping. Jim Spears, who's getting on up there in age now, I've had the opportunity to sit down and nap with him and watch him, and you know, a lot of the greats in the game right now, they will tell you that, I mean, Jim Spears was, or is, he's not gone, but he just doesn't nap anymore. He's on up there in age, but probably the grandfather of one of the biggies of the modern revival for napping. Jim's got work in museums all over the world, so he's pretty freaking phenomenal. All right, we've just got one more little spot on there where that little hump was, and I'll show you. We're just going to try to pick that off. You can see that little lowered spot right there, and we're just going to run this right along that mass. There we go. All right. Yeah, one of the pioneers, absolutely. All right. We got that side to flatten out. Now you can see that's our little preformed tool. Both sides are fairly uniform. We just start working to get the edges more refined and in line. But yeah, I've had the opportunity to sit and watch some fantastic nappers over the years. Lucky enough, I'm friends, good friends with Jim Redfern. Any of you that might be in the flint napping community, but Jim's a legend also. But I have napped with DC Waldorf and Jim Spears, Ralph Conrad, some really big, you know, names in the world of flint napping, and it's, you know, been fortunate enough that a lot of them have been kind of shared their knowledge and their experience with me through the years. So I'm always trying to pay it forward, you know, show somebody or answer a question that somebody might have that kind of help them along. Because this definitely is not a, you know, figure it out by yourself kind of, you know, without videos and somebody helping and explaining and that kind of stuff. This would be very difficult, to say the least. Like I said, I napped for at least a couple of years that, you know, I no earthly idea of the concepts, and I was going off of like 2 or 3 little obscure things that I'd read or seen or something. I mean, it was just ridiculous, the lack of information that was out there. So I would encourage everybody that's wanting to learn, if you've got questions, ask questions. If you've got, you know, you're wanting to get better, that's how you get better. Ask questions and just keep practicing. It absolutely is, Bubba. You know, my wife and I were talking about that last night, and I said, you know, the world is so different now compared to when I was in school. You know, I mean, if it wasn't in the encyclopedia, it didn't happen. You know, I mean, there's just no record of it, and you know, to go from having to look everything up in an encyclopedia to, you know, I've got Google search on my phone that before I even finish typing in what I'm looking for, it's already got 2 or 3 options for me to view. You know, that's just that kind of access to information is fantastic and dangerous at the same time. Oh, absolutely, they listen to you, Bubba. Because it's, you know, a lot of stuff is geared around all these sales sites that Yep. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I know what you're saying. That kind of stuff happens all the time. Try one more. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that happen, Bubba, for sure. They call them smartphones for a reason. Absolutely. All right. Now there's that edge we just ran there, and you can see got just a little bit more on this side to get. Kind of even it up, and then we'll set it aside. Pretty pleased with how this one turned out this morning. That was kind of I honestly surprised myself. I didn't think I was going to get as big a piece out of that as I did. Excuse me. I haven't made any Danish daggers, Bubba. I've never actually even tried to make one. I see, Ed making them. That's DC Waldorf guy you hear me talk about. Is one of my first, the book and the instructional stuff. That was what DC was really known for. I mean, a lot of his work, but for sure a lot of the daggers, the Danish daggers and stuff. I know Ed Mosier does them, and again, that's what I was saying before. I see a lot of DC's style of napping in the way that Ed naps. You can see, it's like I said that one day, it's almost like guitar players. I can hear, Jimi Hendrix influence in Stevie Ray Vaughan. You know where that lineage came from. Yeah, there are, Doug, but on so many of those apps, I mean, they're, you have to ask that they don't track you in any way, shape, or form, and some of it I don't care for, because I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. Somebody's not going to take over my accounts, and there's not going to be a landslide or a land windfall, I guess. Yeah, they're pretty intricate. A lot of punch work, and it's next to impossible to do some of that work without copper punches. And I don't, you guys know I don't use any metal modern stuff. So just kind of concentrate on what I can do with stone and bone. Take a couple more this way, and then we'll pick up another piece of material, because this one is just going to be finish work here after a couple more flakes this way. Yeah, that's me, Bubba, and as far as, I don't do much shopping or anything online anyway, so I don't do much shopping, period, but yeah, all that stuff's set up for the almighty buck, for sure. See if we can get this flake right here, and then we'll... That was an important flake I wanted to get. It was a nice, thinning that basal area really nicely. Right on, Doug. Thank you. Well, we just about got the puzzle out of this one. It's all, after this, it's just finish work. So for those of you that have been in here since I started messing with this one this morning. That big clunky oddball shaped piece that we had. There's our preform. You can see it's well within, you know, it's getting close to finished thicknesses, and all I got to do is adjust my edges and do final passes of finish work on it. So it does sometimes, Bubba, for sure. Tell you what, I'm going to set this aside. We'll work a stack of preforms. Whew. Kind of catch a breather here. Alrighty. Let's see. This one's probably going to come apart, but this is just some really slick material. But you can see that seam or that crack right there in that. And it looks like it goes all the way through to this side, but never can tell. I mean, like I said, it may come apart, but it may be sealed or healed up in there. And it's such a slick piece of rock. What's my foot? Oh, this one right here. That's just a piece of sandstone, Bubba, that I've just set up under my foot. My hips were starting to bother me. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Don. It looks like they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with, you know, taxation on that. That's why I was trying to make sure I was as fair as I could be, because there was a couple of people that their subscriptions ran out and they can't re-up them. So I'm going to include anybody that was you know, within the month of January. So we'll do that tomorrow morning. So, but I won't leave any of you out, I promise. All right, this thing's got all kinds of issues. It's got a big square blocky end here. It's got seams in it. So we're gonna, figuring that this end is gonna break off, I'm gonna try to use. Oh, absolutely, Doug. Yeah, Bubba, I don't know how all that's working and what all it's doing, but like I said, I'm sure they're gonna get it figured out, because if there's money to be made at it, they're gonna make sure it gets straightened out. I'm gonna see if I can kind of pick through this, where this seam is at over here, and if I can get underneath it. And hey, Todd, you have a good day too, man. So I just ran that one along the top there. There's another little beginning of a seam. Those are the ones that'll break your pieces right there. Is those little seams that come in off an edge. Gives that rock a place to start to break, and that's all it needs. I'll try to come in from behind on that one there. See how that all kind of got chunked up and broke there? There's a seam there that hadn't healed up, but it looks like it's kind of superficial, so we might be able to get underneath it. And I'm not trying to take big, huge flakes. I'm just kind of slowly working through it. gonna drag the puzzle piece. All right. Now, let's see. Get back into where we were at there. It's doing good, Bubba. I got my son is coming over here this Thursday, and we're going to work on. I've got now the opportunity to do with my phone. I can use it as a webcam for my setup. What my son, he brought over an iMac, an old iMac for me to be able to set all my stuff up through. And with it being an iMac, then I can use it to stream with, and then use my phone camera as actually an additional shot. So he's coming over. He's my tech guy. I am definitely not the tech dude, but you know, I'm the idea man. But I think, I'd say by this week I'll at least have 2 cameras, so I can start getting set up to, even if right now I'm only going to be able to do YouTube, I'm still getting, you know, I'm steps in the right direction anyway. Bob, no, this leather I've had for, well, I bought it at a nap in probably 6 or 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that. I can't even remember. It was cheap. That's the reason I bought it. I actually should have bought more because I think I only paid $25 for it. And it's you know, stood up really well to all the wears. So okay, there's that seam, and it looks like it carries on through, so we're probably going to lose the back end of this rock here. I was hoping that would hold together because this is such a nice clean piece of Burlington that if I could get it to stay together. The hardest thing to find is the leather. It's expensive, Bob. It's you know, it's not easy to come by if you're trying to be frugal with money. And that's why, like I said, when I saw this for what it was, I snatched it up. The guy had a whole stack up on his table, but I should have probably bought $100 worth at the time. I just didn't have the money to do it. But yeah, this one, with it being the lighter colored leather, so this is when I'm at a show or something, that's what I use to cover up all my tools with. Set that out, you know, like that. So, I mean, it's a huge piece of leather. So, yeah, that's a harder thing to come by. If you don't have to have as big of, you know, a piece of leather as this to do it. You know, in fact, you can get by with like just a hand pad like this. You know, I could lay this across my leg just the same as I can the other deal and use that the same way. So you don't necessarily have to have the big leather pad on your leg. It's just, for me, it's just more comfortable. It kind of sheets the rest of it off of my leg and get everything kind of set back up here. But yeah, as long as you've got something that protects your leg underneath the, it could be anything from a hand pad like that to just a little square leather pad. Doesn't even have to be leather, you know, as long as it's cut proof to keep flakes from coming through as bad on you. But I've seen guys use t-shirts, you know. Yeah, and that's good point, Don. Harbor Freight, the welding aprons. In fact, my first, you know, deal when I first started flint knapping was made from I worked in a foundry, and it was basically a welding apron, one of those old orange leather riveted welding apron. That was my first leg pad, and have still got it around here somewhere. I mean, I wore through it, but I've used it for other stuff over the years. Yep, there's that crack. See if I can take the rest of that off. That'll work too, Bob. I mean, anything that you can put a little protection between you and the rock is. Yeah, there you go, Don. That's, like I said, whatever you got to use to get a little protection between you and that rock. Hold on a second, I got a flake came off there and skinned into my finger a little bit. All right. Train is going through this morning. All right. This is where that crack or that seam was. Cash, good morning. Napping juice, there you go. Well, that's where that little edge broke off right there. So since we've got like a little bit of a beveled area to it, I'm gonna try to figure out a way to zigzag that and get this part of that mass off there. So like I said, good gosh, let me put a little pressure on it for a second. Roland, I may have missed your first comment on there. Where is it that's very good for pricing or fair for pricing for leather? Yeah, it's going to take a second for this to stop bleeding. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. So flakes are sharp. Oh, I got you. Yeah, well, it probably wouldn't let you share a link on there. Hold a little pressure on this for a second. It'll quit. It's just a little blood, but I don't want it getting all over the piece here. Yeah, it looks like it stopped. All right. Oh, yeah, I've seen that site, Roland. It shows up a lot on my Facebook feed. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I guess I figured that, MM. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I really am. Deer Trail Company has leather. Oh, awesome. I didn't know if now is that are you talking about Kenny, Don? That he's selling leather also? Right on. I didn't know that Kenny was selling leather. I knew he did leather work, but I didn't know he was selling it also. Well, guys, I tell you what, that brings up a great point. You know, I mean, like I said, I knew Kenny was doing leather work, but I didn't know he was selling it. Any of you guys that are in here watching right now, that if you've got a thing that you do, if you're on TikTok and you go live, or if you've got a craft that you do or something that you sell, a little side hustle or whatever, shout it out here. Let everybody know what it is that you do. Because, a lot of times you're going to be like, I wish I knew somebody that did da-da-da-da. Well, this is how we connect. This is how we promote each other. I'm not a leather guy, so I wouldn't be able to help. But then, Don's saying, hey, there's a guy that is part of this group that sells leather, and even if he doesn't have what you're looking for, he might be able to point you in a direction. So, I'm all about supporting each other, the little guys. Do you know how to put someone in the box and take them back out? Don, I don't, and you're scaring me a little bit. I'm not sure what you mean. Do you make gravel? East Mississippi gravel production, huh? I make a lot of it too, Bubba. I make a lot of it too. Oh, that I don't know either, Don. No, but guys, if you, like I said, if you've got a craft or a thing you do and you're just watching, we got 84, 85 of us in here. If you've got a craft or a skill that you practice, especially, I do a lot of primitive skills and a lot of that type of stuff, and I'd be, would love to hear what it is that you do. Met a few potters on here. This will be a good flake here, guys. This is going to take off the top part of this kind of weird spot here. Mad Dog, you're a gravel maker too, huh? It's actually a few more people in here today than what we had been seeing, guys. That's kind of a promising thing. It's like I was talking to Jenny and I said it was really weird. It's not that I do this necessarily for the likes or the whatever, but it just, my views had gone way down when all that stuff was happening with, the uncertainty of what's going on. And I'm sure there's still a certain amount of uncertainty. There's another nice flake right there. But you know, I went from having, you know, several thousand people through the course of a little jelly cheese. I appreciate it. But no, it went from there being a whole bunch of, you know, I mean, like there was more people in here than I could keep up with, to where it got to a point where, you know, it was crickets out there, and it was my, you know, a lot of my normal folks that would come in, and that was it. It wasn't like there was any, you know, it wasn't pushing the live out into the algorithm or whatever, all that stuff, and it just like slowed off real quick. All right. Now what I'm trying to do, or attempting to do, with this set of all these different sizes, I'm going to try to make a set of what I'd call cash blades. So I'm going to make all of these blades be as close and as similar as kind of that first one that I made. So out of all these kind of clunky pieces of rock, if I'm able to get, let me relight a incense here, but try to get them all to about the same stage and then finish them all out. I believe that was done a lot historically. You know, when you're sitting working on a particular, you know, type of rock or at a resource, you're gonna, like, it's the same set of tools. Once you get into a flow, Kaylee, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. But once you kind of get into a flow of working, this way I don't have to stop and pressure flake, and, you know, all the different, the latter part of it is the more time consuming, the part that I have to concentrate more on and all that stuff. So if I can get a handful of these worked down, then we'll finish them all out. Kind of hoping that would clear some of that out, but that's okay. We will so when I first start off with this, all I'm trying to do is get like one side kind of flattened out. Just taking off the little high spots on it, just trying to make it a starting point, and then we'll work to the other side. And if you're trying to learn to make a particular point style, this is probably my you know, what I would suggest, that, you know, like your best way to do it is you pick out the point style that you want to make, get your material set out, and instead of trying to make one all the way from beginning to end, do them in stages. Make 3 or 4 pieces and take them down to where they're a preformed stage, and then take them to the next stage, all of them, so that you learn the process by repeating the steps on numerous pieces. If you just do them one at a time from beginning to end, it's harder, for at least for me, for the, you know, to kind of ingrain in the steps or the way that you know what you've got to do to get it to that point. So just by facing down to a certain stage that they're, this one I just want a real thin kind of, yeah, just a tapering point out into the center of that. Getting that as flat as possible to start off on this side with. Let's see how far off we are on our size here. I'm trying to keep them within the same, so we can't lose a lot more width or length off of this piece here to keep it kind of as part of a cash set. So try to keep, you know, be as frugal with my length as possible on this. Napping like this will cause you to, you know, you think about your material in a lot different terms than just trying to make an arrowhead. I'm trying to come in at a certain size or a profile at different times of the, I don't say different times, but different stages. I'm trying to duplicate that. So I'm trying to get this piece to where I'm going to be very similar to this, and then set it aside, but try to keep them all, you know, somewhat of the same size. So I'm just trying to be really frugal with how there's a couple of seams right here. It's got me a little bit worried that we're going to lose some of the tip off this, but part of the puzzle. Alrighty. This is the most coffee I've drank in a week. Probably going to be bouncing off the walls here in a little while. And there's a seam there. I'm hoping that it doesn't go all the way through. Let's see if we can. All right. I took that flake kind of at an angle, and I chopped off some of that. There's a little bit of seam you can see. I can get it to focus. A little black line right there. I'm just trying to kind of soften that edge that way so that I don't have to try to use as much force to remove a flake on the next. See how close we're still hanging in there. Yeah, we're right at the line where we don't need to take any more off the length. It's going to be a little bit smaller, but that's okay. And you can't. It's hard when you're starting with a bunch of different sized rocks, or well, they're similar size, but they've got all their own little difficulties. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it, Manuel. All right. I have not, Kaylee, I do have a set of tools now. My hammerstones, these are all self-foraged, but all of my antler, I've gotten some of it from trades. Now I have made my own tools, but most of the antler that I've got has come from trades, either for my work or stuff like that. But it is, I would love to have a kit made with the full circle deal, like to take an antlered buck with an entire set of hunting equipment that I've handmade with stone tools, and then be able to process those antlers into a set of tools would be fantastic. I don't know if it would be the best use of my time, because that you're talking about it's a immense undertaking. That's what I tell people all the time, that I've learned how to do all this stuff with primitive tools, but doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be realistic. It's kind of like picking your battles. I can't do everything with Stone Age tools because I don't have that amount of time in my day. So you kind of have to pick your battles as far as the stuff that you want to do with these, with Stone Age tools, and the stuff that you want to use an alternative. we're getting closer to that. I'm trying to. Sean, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to see if we can take off some of this side here, and got one more I'm going to take right there though. See if I can just take that edge of that off. Yeah. Well, that size of that platform that I was just grabbing hold of was just barely trying to drag the edge of it just to pull those flakes off. Because like I said, we're trying to, imitate that size of the other one, so I don't want to get too frisky trying to take off material and end up taking too much. So this piece looks like it's got a seam run down the middle of it, but it looks like it's gonna let us work through it. All right, let's see. it's not quite as refined as that other one, but it's almost at the same stage now. I just need to clean up the edges, but we're about to move on to another piece. Because this is just going to be a bunch of, see how thin we've got that. Working edge all the way around. Got a little bit of an area right here, but I've left it a little bit wide so we can kind of make up for that swoop in the material there. Relight the incense here. I don't know why it's going out this morning. Here's the first little biface we did. This one's going to be, it's a little bit shorter. Actually, it's about exactly the same length. So it's going to come in. No, it don't want to burn this morning, for sure. So there's the next biface in that. Now let's see what we got here. Like I said, this is another really clean piece, but this is almost like bowl shaped in here. And then this side's got square edges, and it's just like a top or a chunk. So, what time is it? Yeah, we got about 15 minutes here. I should be able to get it close to this one's not. This one doesn't look like it has near the trebles at the other one, but that being said, there's a seam there. We'll just work through it real quick. Let's see if we can. Thank you for the follow, Ashrad. Excuse me. I'm just trying to take some of that bowl shape out of that. It's got a seam or a low spot right here. We're going to try to blend this series into that. Yeah, see there's like that part of that seam in there. All right, just about to get the kind of that cupped or bold area out of this. All right. Kind of got that side flattened out. There's a little bit more right here I can get, I guess. All right, let's see how far off we are on that one. Not too far. Trying to keep them all fairly uniform. This should be a good flake if I can get it to carry through that little chatter spot. I overstruck it. So that's one of those situations where I just hit it through the platform. I hit it too hard, and there's what I was hoping to do, is clear it way out into there. But we didn't lose much size off of it or anything there, so no harm, no foul. Just tell myself to back off the power just a little bit. Get an idea where I want this oriented in this piece. Probably take it from that side. So flake I wanted, but it'll work. All right, yeah. Shouldn't be too bad. Well, we had about 15 minutes. I was trying to get as close as I could to that finished form from that piece, and we're not too far from it. Be some cleanup pressure flake work here. But it's in the same relative ballpark as those others. Oh yeah, the music reminds you of Lilo and Stitch. I couldn't get my other CD wouldn't play this morning, so this was the one that I actually was using for the Wednesday night, and yeah, I couldn't figure out why my CD wouldn't play this morning. It's always this my player's always a little temperamental, but today I could not get it to start, so. All right. Yeah, we're pretty close to the end now, guys. We're gonna do the drawing tomorrow for the subscriber point for the month of January, and then we'll probably have to have February on hold until they figure out what's going on with all of that. So, got an area right here of mass that I'm going to take a couple more flakes with the indirect, and then we'll call this one good for today. Yeah, we're there with the thinness now. We just need to shape it. It's going to be a little smaller than the other two, but well, it's actually pretty close. That's what we're working with today. That's the first one we started on. Here's the second one. It's got a little area there that needs to be cleaned up, but that'll be pressure flake stuff, and they're all relatively uniform, similar in thickness and size. So when I go to make points out of these, I'm gonna do probably, see, that one's not gonna make one in the same size range, but this one might. But that's got that seam in it. So got that, and then a piece of kind of a reeds, and that's what we're going to make 5 pieces, hopefully, if not 4. We'll get 3 or 4 of them the same size. Anyway, guys, that's a couple hours for today. I'm a feeling it, so we will see if we can't pick it up back here tomorrow. Probably going to spend a few days just kind of working through some of my local stuff, just getting back in the swing of it. I feel better today, but still not 100%. So we'll work a few different things this week, and then Trent, thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate it. But then we'll get back into, I'll get a plan, and we'll do another series. I talked to somebody, I haven't seen him in here today, but Blake, I can't think of his last, Fleming, I think, was asking about Pedernales points, and I still haven't put all the material together to do that, but I'm wanting to. So, but I'll come up with a plan of some stuff that we're going to work, and a new series. I'd like to go back and work on some Folsoms for a while. If that doesn't bore you guys too much, if that's something that you really don't want to watch, then let me know. But more than likely, I'm going to eventually kind of gravitate back to the Folsoms. I really want to get better at those. So we'll come up with a plan this week. Just hang in there with me, and I'll get to feeling better. And as the week goes on, we'll figure something out. So, guys, thanks for coming in this morning, spending some time with me. Hope you have a great day. Take care of yourself and those around you, and keep chipping. We'll see you tomorrow.